HPB and Alfred Percy Sinnett by Claude Bragdon. Published 1910. The scene next shifts to India, to which country the two founders betook themselves in 1878, after a brief English sojourn. It was for both of them a homecoming, and felt to be such, notwithstanding the fact that India had never been their home, in that particular earthly life. As this essay is in no sense a history of the growth of the Theosophical movement, but only a flashlight glimpse of crucial moments in the lives of some of the persons concerned in that movement, I shall not burden my narrative with any account, however brief, of the wonderful work accomplished, during the succeeding years, in reconciling religious differences, in harmonizing warring factions, and in reviving, in the very land which had produced it, that ancient wisdom religion, the seeds of which, wafted over seas of space and time, are now so actively germinating in the secret heart of the West. I shall proceed rather to chronicle the advent of the next important recruit to the Theosophic ranks, A.P. Sinnett, whose unique distinction it is to have presented Theosophy in such a manner as to arrest the attention, and inspire the respect of the intellectuals of the Anglo-Saxon world. Sinnett has himself told the story fully and interestingly of his relations with Madame Blavatsky and through her with the Masters of Wisdom. His acquaintance with the two founders began with a visit made by HPB and Alfred to Allahabad, where Mr. and Mrs. Sinnett were living in the style, and amid the society and surroundings made familiar to Western readers through Kipling's vivid tales of Anglo-Indian life. Here let me digress just long enough to explain a mystery which has puzzled many: how did Kipling get his Theosophy and occultism so straight? The explanation is simple. Sinnett was editor of the Pioneer, and Kipling, as everyone knows, was attached to the same paper in a subordinate capacity, and thus had abundant opportunity to glean his information on these subjects from a high and authoritative source. How well he availed himself of his opportunity is shown for example in the finest story in the world, dealing as it does with the difficult and little understood subject of reincarnation. It reveals an inside knowledge of the matter, there is not a mistake in it anywhere. The imagination of another well-known author was touched to some purpose by the vision of Sinnett, HPB, and Alfred at Simla, moving about through the rhododendrons, the vortex of mysterious forces, the pawns of high intelligences. F. Marion Crawford's Mr. Isaacs was inspired by the published accounts of Mahatma K.H., and Mr. Crawford's uncle, Mr. Sam Ward, affirms that his nephew, having once begun the writing of this work, gave himself no rest, scarcely even food, until it was finished. Mr. Isaacs was completed in 4 weeks, and is unique among the author's many productions. It attained to instant and wide popularity, and shows an intuitive grasp of the subject dealt with, although according to Colonel Olcott, Mr. Crawford made the mistake of having his ideal Eastern adept Ramlay meddle in the love affairs of the hero and heroine, an act inconsistent with the character and policy of these spiritual beings, who just by reason of their greater knowledge, forbear to interfere with the karma of individuals. With the whole-souled espousal of Theosophy by the Sinnetts, the life of the two founders underwent another sea change. From obscurity and ostracism so far as the governing class was concerned, they suddenly awoke to find themselves famous, popular. At Allahabad, and later, at Simla, the mysterious wonder-working Russian became the topic of all the tea tables, and the time of the two was taken up with visits and dinner parties at which HPB, if she were in the humor, made bells to ring and roses to fall, and performed greater wonders for the guests, insatiably greedy of phenomena and highly indifferent to religious philosophy. This social phase did not last long, nor did it end happily. In the conservative little Anglo-Indian world, HPB's bohemian manners shocked the general sense of propriety, her immense intellectual and spiritual superiority excited envy and resentment, and her uncanny psychical powers made her, in the end, to be regarded with a sort of terror. Far more profitable and satisfying were the visits the founders paid to, and received from native princes and holy ascetics with whom, in a hushed company of listeners, they essayed high themes, often amid ideal surroundings, in an air washed by the water of many fountains, sweet with the perfume of many roses. Of life and death and destiny they talked, until the honey-colored tropical moon touched the stained marble steps of the grass-grown tank with its radiance, and the night wind stirred the curtains between the fretted columns of the court.